Good morning, brothers and sisters. Well, it is just about time for another Shabbat day. Blessings to all of you. And this morning I'm going to go to the next chapter of Jubilees, that is in the series, chapter 7. And this is after the flood when Noah planted and made sacrifices. And in the seventh week, in the first year thereof, in this Jubilee, Noah planted vines on the mountain on which the ark had rested, named Lubar, one of the Ararat mountains. And they produced fruit in the fourth year, and he guarded their fruit and gathered it in this year, in the seventh month. And he made wine therefrom, and put it into a vessel, and kept it until the fifth year, until the first day on the new month of the first month. And he celebrated with joy the day of this feast, and he made a burnt sacrifice to Yahuwah. 1 young ox, 1 ram, 7 sheep, each a year old, a kid from the goats, that he might make atonement thereby for himself and for his sons. And he prepared the kid first, and placed some of the blood on the flesh that was on the altar which he had made, and all the fat he laid on the altar where he made the burnt sacrifice, and the ox and the ram and the sheep, and he laid all their flesh upon the altar. And he placed all their offerings mingled with oil upon it, and afterwards he sprinkled wine on the fire which he had previously made on the altar. And he placed incense on the altar, and caused a sweet savor to ascend, acceptable before Yahuwah, his sovereign ruler. And he rejoiced and drank of this wine, and he and his children with joy. And it was in the evening, and he went into his tent, and being drunken, he lay down and slept, and was uncovered in his tent as he slept. And Ham saw Noah his father naked, and went forth and told his two brethren without. And Shem took his garment and arose, he and Jehoshaphat, and they placed the garment on their shoulders, and went backward and covered the shame of their father, and their faces were backward. And Noah awoke from his sleep, and knew all that his younger son had done to him. And he cursed his son, and said, Cursed be to Canaan, and enslaved servant shall he be unto his brethren. And he blessed Shem, and said, Blessed be the Yahuwah Almighty of Shem and Canaan, shall be his servant. Yahuwah shall enlarge Jehoshaphat, and Yahuwah shall dwell in the dwelling of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. And Ham knew that his father had cursed his younger son, and he was displeased that he had cursed his son, and he parted from his father, he and his sons with him, Cush, Mizraim, and Put, and Canaan. And he built for himself a city, and called its name after the name of his wife, Netumelech. I'm not sure if that's right, actually. Nelatumuk. I think that's a little closer. Sorry about that. I'm not really good at these pronunciations. And Jehoshaphat saw it, and became envious of his brother. And he too built for himself a city, and he called its name after the name of his wife, Atanesis. And Shem dwelt with his father Noah, and he built a city close to his father on the mountain. And he too called its name after the name of his wife, Sedek Etalebab. And behold, these 3 cities are near Mount Lubar, Sadiq Telebab, fronting the mountain on its east, and Nail Tamuk on the south, and Atanesis toward the west. And these are the sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, and Aphrashad. This son was born 2 years after the flood of Lud and Aram. The sons of Josaphat, Gomer and Magog and Madai and Javan and Tubal and Meshach and Tiras. These are the sons of Noah. And in the 28th Jubilee, Noah began to enjoin upon his sons the ordinances and commandments and all the judgments that he knew. And he exhorted his sons to observe righteousness and to cover the shame of their flesh and to bless their Creator and honor father and mother and love their neighbor and guard their souls from fornication and uncleanliness and all iniquity. For owing to these 3 things came the flood upon the earth, namely owing to fornication, whereas the watchers against the Torah of their ordinances went a-whoring after the daughters of men, and took themselves wives of all which they chose, and they made the beginning of uncleanliness. And they begot sons, the Nephilim, and they were all unlike, and they devoured one another. And the giants slew the Nephil, and the Nephil slew Elio, and the Elio mankind, and one man another. And everyone sold himself to work iniquity and to shed much blood, and the earth was filled with iniquity. And after this they sinned against the beasts and the birds and all that moves and walks on the earth. And much blood was shed on the earth, and every imagination and desire of men imagined vanity and evil continually. And Yahuwah destroyed everything from off the face of the earth because of the wickedness of their deeds, and because of the blood which they had shed in the midst of the earth. He destroyed everything. And we were left, I and you, my sons, and everything that entered with us into the ark. And behold, I see your works before me, that you do not walk in righteousness. For in the path of destruction you have begun to walk, and you are parting one from another, and are envious of one another. And so it comes that you are not in harmony, my sons, each with his brother. For I see and behold, the demons have begun their seductions against you and against your children. And now I fear on your behalf that after my death you will shed blood of men upon the earth, and that you too will be destroyed from the face of the earth. For who shall shed man's blood, and whoso eats the blood of any flesh shall all be destroyed from the earth. And there shall not be left any man that eats blood, or that sheds the blood of the man on the earth, nor shall there be left to him any seed or descendants living under heaven. For into Sheol they shall go, and into the place of condemnation shall they descend, and into the darkness of the deep shall they all be removed by a violent death. There shall be no blood seen upon you of all the blood there shall be all the days in which you have killed any beast or cattle, or whatever flies upon the earth. And work you a good work to your souls by covering that which has been shed on the face of the earth. And you shall not be like him who eats with blood, but guard yourselves that none may eat blood before you. Cover the blood, for thus I have been commanded to testify to you and your children together with all flesh. And suffer not the soul to be eaten with the flesh, that your blood, which is your life, may not be required at the hand of any flesh that sheds it on the earth. For the earth will not be clean from the blood which has been shed upon it, for only through the blood of him that shed it will the earth be purified throughout all its generations. And now, my children, listen, work judgment and righteousness, that you may be planted in the righteousness over the face of the whole earth, and your praise lifted up before Yahuwah, my Almighty, who saved me from the waters of the flood. And behold, you will go and build for yourselves cities and plant them in all the plants that are upon the earth, and moreover all fruit-bearing trees. For 3 years the fruit of everything that is eaten will not be gathered, and in the 4th year its fruit will be accounted Kodesh, that they will offer first fruits, acceptable before Most High Yahuwah, who created heaven and earth and all things. Let them offer in abundance the first of the wine and the oil, as first fruits on the altar of Yahuwah, who receives it. And what is left, let the servants of the house of Yahuwah eat before the altar, which receives it. And in the 5th year make you the release, so that you release it in righteousness and uprightness, and you shall be righteous, all that you shall plant, and prosper. For thus did Enoch, the father of your father, command Methuselah, his son, Methuselah, his son Lamech, and Lamech commanded me all the things which his fathers commanded him, and I also will give you commandment, my sons, as Enoch commanded his sons in the first Jubilees, while still living. In the 7th in his generation he commanded and testified to his son and to his son's sons until the day of death. Whew. What a powerful chapter, brothers and sisters. There is so much here. I pray that you will get a chance to read this for yourself. The book of Jubilees, chapter 7. Whew. There's so much here that we don't hear in our Old Testament. He touches upon several points that are left out of our everyday scripture. Well, I didn't take any notes on this before I read it to you. I probably should have took some notes. But on the end here, we get that Enoch had given all these commands since the beginning of time. And it talks about the year of release, the Shabbats, the Jubilees, the Day of Atonement in the 7th month, and how important it is for us to keep the Day of Atonement. Noah made atonement for him and his family on the Day of Atonement in that 7th month. The curse that was brought upon the people for what he did to Noah. So Ham and I'm sorry, I just kind of drew a blank here as I'm glazing over this chapter. So Ham was the one who saw his father unclothed, and it's my perception that Ham actually had sexual relations with Noah. Now, there are other ideas about this particular chapter that he possibly took his wife, but that's not what I'm seeing when I read this, and that's not what I'm hearing. So I do believe that this was an act as Sodom and Gomorrah, and that is why the curse. Had it happened to his wife, I don't think that the curse would have been so harsh. It's just my thoughts on that particular chapter. But it doesn't give any more details here other than, he woke and he knew what his younger son had done. It says to him. It doesn't say to his wife. It says he had done it to him. So he cursed his Ham, and therefore made him the servant of the brothers. Thank you for listening to this chapter. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the comment box, and I will try and answer to the best of my ability. To the best what the Father bestows upon my thoughts concerning this. And thank you. Hope you have a blessed Shabbat. Shalom. And if you are enjoying any of the videos that I have here on my channel, I pray that you would give a thumbs up, that you would like and subscribe to the channel. In the suggestion or description box below, you can see a couple of sites to make donations if you have that upon your heart. If not, no problem. That's not really what I'm here for. So I thank you, and Yah bless you all, and have a good and wonderful rest of the week. Amen.